Today's live broadcast, which is coming to you from Abenteuer und Allrad, the largest off-road RV event in the world. And yesterday when I tried doing it, it poured down, and I was quite lucky because I managed to get into that was a tent, like it was in fact a structure, not a tent. I got in there and I didn't get wet, but lots of people did. And the reason I came down here was because the internet may be stronger here, so I need some assistance on this one. If the internet is weak, then please let me know. Let's turn the camera around. And oh, look at that, I've got that gimbal there stuck in the way there. We'll see if we can do something getting the gimbal out of the way. How's that? It's still there, and I checked this before actually going online. There you go. Alright, so is that better? That looks a bit better. Right, so I'm going to show you what we've got here. Got any questions, then you ask, and answer them in real time. So I'm going to start off here with Tisha, who's usually in this position, and what they do is pickup cabins. And so what you can see with a pickup cabin here, you've got vehicles like the Toyota Hilux, sorry, or the Ford, what do you call it, Ford Ranger. And so let's have a quick look at one of these pickup cabins. Now these things are, you can sort of leave them, drive off, and leave them there, thus keeping your campsite position somewhere. And something like this, for example, this pickup cabin here, we're looking at 47,000. Let's have a look inside, and that's what it looks like. Got stacks of space in something like this. And what is particularly interesting, I feel, with something along this nature is that it's got a very small footprint, and which makes it much easier to drive. But I want to show you one of the things that makes it a little bit more difficult to drive, but when we get outside, there you've got the fan on, and here's 27 degrees today, and I'm just curious how other people feel. But as I get older, I just can't take the heat like I used to be able to in my 20s. So I could stand here under this fan for the rest of this presentation, and I would be quite happy. So this is quite a large pickup cabin. One thing I think is really important though is to be self-contained, a toilet inside with the shower, really important. But look, you've got storage down there, you've got a fridge up there, you've got a wardrobe here beside me, and you've got a kitchen as well. Yeah, 3 burners even on this one. So you got lots of space inside, quite nice, and you got the electrical stuff all to go with it. Let's come outside and have a look at another one, and come over here. This one's got a this one over here has even got a pretty good color as well to it. All right, hello. What about the heating system? Yeah, that's a good question. Now normally in these, you'd expect normally to find probably the Truma, the same sort of heating system which you would get in a motorhome or a camper van. Some of them, however, do have go for Webasto or Ebersprache, depending on which one they are. Oh, this is even more luxurious, and that's very nice, I think. Oh, I really like this actually. It's got lots of, it really does have a very luxurious feel to it. You don't normally see such luxury, I think. And you've got even this U-shaped lounge group in here. Very, very attractive vehicle. This must be new because I've never seen it before. And yeah, so the problem, of course, with the Truma system is this: the boiler is pretty big if you look at it, and you think, well, it's only got like whatever it is, even 10 liters of water. You think, well, 10 liters of water, that isn't a lot. But because all the wires and all the rest of it and all the elements for heating, so that does tend to make it rather large. So some of these other solutions could be somewhat easier. Here, we'll go in the back here of this one as well and have a look in here. This thing here, looking at a price of 44,000 euros. and oh, very nice as well, I think. Mind you, listen, I think I really like that last one we saw. I thought that was pretty good. I do appreciate, of course, that these pickups they don't fit every, well, they don't fit every vehicle, they only don't fit every pickup, and there's a difference between the ones which will fit a US vehicle and those will fit the European models. And I don't know if we can get in here. I'll just stick here. I won't walk in, but I'll just stick it through the door. And so this is one you have to ask for the price. And oh, this is a much more basic one here. Hello, Chris. And so you got here with one of these toilet down here, no shower in it. Much more basic. Better off going for a nicer one with the toilet and all the rest of it. There's one slight problem, I think, though. It's because of the shape of the body. I've heard people complaining that they can't see what's going on down here, particularly some of these big ones, you know, the Dodge vehicle as well. Driving's a bit more awkward. I mean, he's got any more experience of this. Did you actually say? I've heard people now putting up cameras at the front, and you've got a far better idea of what's going on. Let's go and have a look at something else. Have a walk up here, and so see whatever is next. And so here we've got these rather large Kirkham expedition vehicles. In fact, everything's really expedition in a way. But one thing I do need to point out as well is that it's the wheelbase, and you've got a really big wheelbase like this. It does limit the amount of places you can actually go to. So you've got something like that which is super comfortable inside. It's nice as it is at home, so to speak, but because the wheels are so far apart, now you imagine you're going over a hill or something like that, or whatever, and there'll be a moment when the vehicle's in the air, and then it may be a moment when none of the wheels are in contact with the ground. So and this is one of the complaints I hear about the Sprinter, for example, my favorite van, that it's not suitable as an off-road vehicle. Now I've got this idea that there's different off-road and 4x4, and one of the things that one tries to do, of course, is to give the lift up as high as it will go. But this in turn brings other problems along with it, and problems, for example, the higher it is, the less stable it is, and also if you're sort of out doing things in the I don't know, in areas where there may be trees and all the rest of it, it makes it, and certainly bridges, it makes it much more difficult to actually find a route through. And whereas we can get by a navigation for roads, which tells us which roads and bridges and routes to take, we can't buy navigation for anything which goes off road. Now, so we've got here various types of company. Now, one of the things is that you see there's lots of Land Rovers here and similar types of vehicle. Land Rover is the most popular vehicle here, and there's one, looks like the Land Rovers I recall from old days of when I was in the army. Of course, that one's new from when I was in the army. Got these roof tents here. Let's have a walk through here and see what we can find down here. Lots of off-road equipment, solar stuff and that type of things. I see a lot more roof tents as well now than I've seen in the past, for those who really want to rough it. And here, you know, this type of electrical equipment at the same time. Come round out here. If you've got any requests which involve me filming things, then I'll come back and do that at a later date. I'll come round here, and I've got these little solar panels They're made by German company, what they called company, Faison, and called Trek King. I've got them, but I'm not terribly impressed by them. I'll have to do a separate video on them. And right, so I think what we'll do is we're going to walk down here. It's like, now look at the sky. The sky actually, I don't think it's going to rain as it did yesterday. Today the temperature is 27 degrees, and this for me is about the maximum that I would want it to be. Now here we've got something interesting, this crawler and TS pickup. I saw them driving this in, which I thought was quite curious, and as a crawler, I've never seen one actually in action on the road before. So anyway, I like how we go driving that. Let's have a walk down here, because there's something here I do want to point out. Now, in 2008 at Caravan Salon, on the Citroen stand, they showed a Citroen body kit, which was on a Pössl Globe Scout campervan, and here we've got one on a, so again it's on the Citroen, on the Bürstner campervan. But the idea of something like this, I mean, it looks really original, and I don't suppose anybody'd actually steal it, because I think the vehicle inside is quite old. The cost of that, it's over 90,000 euros with the van, of course. The body kit itself is to get the permission, the paperwork to actually allow it for use. So they've got to sell something. I think about 200 or 300 pieces, otherwise you just won't get the. I don't know how they managed to sell 200 or 300 pieces without getting the permission. But I think it looks really, really good. But imagine you're on the campsite with this. Everybody's going to talk to you. People are going to want photographs of it. And after about the 100th time you explain the same thing, you're going to get a bit cheesed off with it. No end. Oh, and whilst I'm here, I'm going to show you this one. This is a Randger. It's one of my favourite layouts on a camper van. So what you've got here, you've got the kitchen at the back, down there, big kitchen. This is only 565 centimeters long. You got the bed up there. It drops down. But what's interesting about this, and this is something now under German law, this can be classified. Hello, Clara. This can be classified as an office, and that will have certain taxation benefits. And yeah, just big. And so that's something which I saw here for the first time. But if you are in Germany, this is not retroactive. So that means you can't decide to have your existing vehicle put on a office basis. It stays as a camper van or something like that. Now, that means if it's on an office basis, as I understand it, I'm not a tax lawyer, but that means 100% deductible as far as if you taxation. I don't know over what period of time, if it's 5 years or whatever. I'm just saying off the top of my head, so it'll be 20% per year. But that's quite an interesting write-off period. I'll just show this thing here as well, which is quite curious. This here, the rear, how this has been done as protection, and it sort of reminds me in the army, the Land Rovers in Northern Ireland, where they put these sort of things to stop people throwing things at the glass. And obviously the same applies in a vehicle. Obviously, I think the roof goes up and gives you a bit of space in the back. But look at the amount of space, the footprint of it as well. So that's really small, but it'll go just about everywhere. Capra means goat in Latin as well as in Spanish and Italian. We've got a number of these drop campers around, but I'm going to come down here because there is something which I think is particularly attractive, and it's this thing here, this pickup back something like this will cost 300,000 euros. It's on the Iveco, and now this thing at the far back here, you can actually see that I filmed that last year, but this one here on the Iveco and this one here I find particularly attractive. In fact, I'd have to say, of all the pickup campers, I think I find this one the most attractive. Again, it's a 300,000 euro approximately camper. But now remember what I said earlier about not quite being able to see. If you sit, if you're driving it, you know, you've got your vision down here isn't all that good. Right. Oh, thanks, Chris. Thank you. And okay. Right. So we've got a number of other companies. Now, I do want to point this one out here. Just give this one a mention. This is Mobil United. The reason I'm giving them a mention is because my current van actually comes from them. So they're a Hymer dealer, and so things like this Venture S, which is of course the off-road model introduced for the 2023 season. Here there's a Grand Canyon and Hymer Cross Camp. I can't see the point of that myself. And we've also got these sort of typical Eriba caravans, which have been on the go for some time. Here we'll have a walk up here as well, and see some of these the vehicles, such these off-road tiny caravans, I should say. But in this one, this crawler, which comes from Turkey, if I remember rightly, 50,000 euros. But you can stand up in it, and it's also got a tent in the roof. Yes, I speak Spanish. Yes, I hablo español. I studied in Madrid, so I speak Spanish. Yes, and now you wouldn't normally expect to see this type of vehicle, of course, at a RV event, but this is an off-road event, so these off-road vehicles are clearly at the place they should be, and of course, as are these the caravans. There's one from South Africa. I think this here. Oh, thank you. This cabin tech here, I think what they're trying to show is what they can actually build. But everything here is built to order. So it's not a case, people ask me, how much does it cost? But the thing is, I don't know how much something costs, because I need to know what people want inside. But that has a certain attraction to it. It looks very good. There's a number of these Mercedes Arcos vehicles around now. Of course, you see lots of Mercedes Arcos on transport companies and things like this. This is a new one, but some of them have been on the roads. You see quite a lot with new cabins, but have been on the road for 35 years or so. But there are those companies though which actually do them up, and they look as good as new. Hello from Florida. Hello from Germany. And this for me is one of the most exciting events. I mean, it's really good to come here. Obviously, first of all, it's outdoors, which is great. It's in the summer. It's the beginning of the summer, so we've got these long nights. It's light. I got up today at 5 o'clock and it was light. Went to bed last night at 10 o'clock. It was light, and so that's the sort of thing that appeals to me. So you've got people all out together and people talking. You've got a great atmosphere on the campsite, even if it is 8 kilometers from here on foot. There's a bus, I must point out, but I walked in order to get here a little bit earlier. And I do see lots more on the solar front and things. That, of course, this must have all been on the go for many years. And let's come around now. Here, there's a company there. See that? It's called Allrad Campers, but this is a mistaken English language coming from German. because the word Allrad, which means all wheels are engaged, 4x4, 6x6, whatever. So there's no equivalent word in English, but for some reason people have translated Allrad as being all road, which is a linguistic mistake. Here you go. I studied linguistics at university. The previous question to make there was, can I speak Spanish? Yes, I can, because I studied it at university. And so, and right, good. So there's a beginning. I don't want to sort of bore you too much, but that's the first bit of this event. And what I'm going to do tomorrow, I'll try and do 2 lives, and I'm going to start off perhaps from this point, but no, I'm going to start from that point there, right? So just be fair. But before I do, I'm going to take you down here, and so thanks for sharing those expedition rig trucks, like you just said, and price range depending on fitting from 350k to over $1 million. Yeah, I think you've got to effectively, $250,000 is the starting price. And even in the case where you bring your own truck from 1973 and you ask them to build the bit at the back for you, I mean, just for the cabin you're probably looking at 60 or 70,000 as a minimum for the fit out. It's not a case of bringing in all the stuff you've got domestically and hoping it's going to actually work for you, because it won't. Now, there's a question here that might come. So why did I come in here yesterday when it was pouring with rain? Well, number one is I was the other end when it started, and the second thing is I realized it was going to pour with rain, but what I didn't know is how many people were going to be in here, because logic told me that everybody would come into this tent beforehand. Well, I want to point these things out. Engel, these are fridges here. These are, this is at the high end of fridges there. Look at that, €1,000 for a fridge. There's a difference. You can't, I see this on some of the groups I'm on in the United States, so people putting in domestic fridges into motorhomes. I don't really think that's such a good idea. I'm going to show you why. One of the things that happen is that when here you've got suspension systems in a motorhome fridge, which you haven't got in a domestic fridge. So as the things, moving around a bit. Now, obviously, the suspension of the vehicle it does compensate a great deal for that. But what can happen is that if the door above all is weighted, it's a lot of weight in the door, it's going to push down, and eventually it's going to it's going to get weaker, let's say. I'm not going to say it's going to break. There are things you can do, of course, to sort of repair and repair on an ongoing basis, but anyway, so that's one difference. But that's one reason why I wouldn't put a domestic fridge, which costs like 1/3 what a motorhome fridge costs, into a motorhome. And it also depends on other things, as other pieces of equipment as well. I don't really understand what the difference between a motorhome television and domestic television is. I have no television in my vehicle. In fact, there was one in when I bought it and I had it taken out. Here, we'll have a look. Stick the camera around the door in this Mobil X366, which costs €200,000, and there you have a look inside. Of course, I've got lots of film from Mobil. Here, we've got another one on this side as well. We'll have a look at that. And there, you've got this big window here, which of course you can also put a net in there as well to stop the mosquitoes getting in. It won't stop the lions getting in. But I'll have a look through this way. This is on a Mercedes 419 basis, if I remember rightly. You've got sleeping up there, and you've got the rear lounge at the back. So, right, so I'm going to come down here to the end. You see, though, the amount of clearance you've got under these vehicles. There was actually yesterday. I was also talking to someone. I mean, one of the things with military vehicles is, as well, obviously they've got to have the off-road capacity. So with the military stuff, you need the clearance at the bottom, but at the top, you need it to be as low as possible so it can't be seen. So they're not particularly comfortable. There wasn't APC, an armored personnel as well. It wasn't armored, so it was a PC, a personnel carrier in here, and so that is one of the things to consider. The military stuff, as far as the overland stuff, it's not particularly comfortable. And right, sorry, I said that. I did say it's 8 kilometers from the car park. Why didn't I cycle rather than walk? Okay, that's a really good question. Why didn't I cycle rather than walk? It goes up like this. It's too difficult. It would take me just as long to cycle as it would to walk up, and not only that, it's so steep going back that I wouldn't actually feel particularly safe. That's why I walked rather than cycle. I do have the bike in the back of the vehicle, and I'm a motorhome. But I like cycling on the flat. I do not have the strength to actually go up onto the going up. Right, there you go. So there's a half-hour video. I hope you found that of interest. Thanks for watching. I'll try and do 2 tomorrow. Tomorrow being Saturday, so I'll try doing one around 11ish, and I'll do another one around 1500 hours my time, German time. So if you're in the UK, it's an hour earlier, and if you're in Florida, it's a lot earlier. In fact, the 11 o'clock one for those of you in Florida will be in the middle of the night, or California anyway, it'll be in the middle of the night. So I think I'll finish off with this Ram here, American vehicle, and yes, you're quite right, e-bike. Thing is, what I was thinking about the e-bike, the advantage for me of an e-bike is it would extend my range. So I reckon, being realistic, I'm not doing more than 80 kilometers in a day. The thing is this: if I go out 40 kilometers, by the time I'm doing about 20, I'm thinking, what if the weather changes? What if it gets windy? What if it rains and I've got to come back? But if I had, I'm thinking about where are the railway stations so I can get back. But if I had an e-bike, then I wouldn't have to think of these things. I could just come drive back by myself, and I wouldn't have to worry about it. How about Oklahoma? Well, I don't think there's much chance of me actually doing that. Sorry, I've got a message there, 928 now. What does that mean? Oh, 928 now, sorry. Yes, 928, yes. Well, early in the morning there. Okay, so thanks very much. Here you've got this company there, pickupback.com. You can see this vehicle on the internet, as well as on my site eventually. And okay, I'll read that. I felt like we were almost there with you. There seems to be a few Ineos Grenadier stands there. Any pictures or video would be very useful. I've just bought one. Thanks. Sorry, I got on my Patreon account. I got the request to do the Ineos Grenadier. They don't seem to have. I'm not too certain what I can do, but I'll try and take pictures anyway, and I can stick them up on the community section or on the Patreon side. For the Patreon users, I cannot actually access it. I need a computer to actually do it. It just doesn't seem to work very well at all from my mobile phone. But I'll access it from. I'll stick a few pictures up anyway. I can try doing that. And there was Ineos Grenadier. They did have a stand in from the company, the corporate company, corporate side here in October of 2021. And I think though with oh, it was you. Thank you. That's good to know. I was thinking of you. I got the message and I didn't know how to respond. So I think there's something happened on the corporate side. Maybe somebody else bought it or something like that. I'll see what I can do. I'll try. Okay. But if it's the car, for a better word, something I don't know actually what I can actually do, but I can try. I'll do my best. So thanks for being with me here today, and all the best from me in Bad Kissingen, Germany. Thanks for the moment. All the best.